So one codebase to rule them all, Android, iOS, desktop, web, that's always been the dream, right? Well, Kotlin Multiplatform claims it can actually deliver on that promise. But you know how it is. There's always the hype, and then there's the reality. So let's break it down and see what it's really like to use. Okay, if you're a mobile dev, you know this feeling all too well. You spend hours, maybe even days crafting a feature. You get it just right, you test it, you polish it, and then you have to turn around and do the exact same thing all over again for the other platform. It's just double the work, double the testing, and yep, double the chances for some sneaky bugs to show up. But what if there was another way? What if you could write all that core logic, the really important stuff, just once? Imagine that one single code base running natively on both Android and iOS, and hey, why not desktop and the web too? Well, that's pretty much the core vision behind Kotlin Multiplatform, or KMP as you'll hear it called. All right, let's start with the absolute basics. What exactly is KMP? What are we even talking about here? So KMP is a toolkit from JetBrains, the same folks who make Kotlin, and its goal is actually really simple. Let you write the important parts of your app, the networking, the database stuff, all those business rules, just one time in Kotlin. Then you can take that exact same code and share it across every single platform you're building for. Now, you've probably also heard people talk about Compose Multiplatform, or CMP. It's really important to know that this is an optional but super powerful layer that sits on top of KMP. So while KMP is all about sharing the logic under the hood, Compose Multiplatform lets you share the visual part of your app, the UI, everything the user actually sees and touches. And it does this using the same modern toolkit that Android devs are probably already using with Jetpack Compose. And this is such a key distinction to get. Think of it like this. KMP lets you share the brain of your app, all the smarts and logic that make it tick. Compose Multiplatform, that's an optional extra that lets you share the face too, the user interface. The best part is, you can use one without the other. You have a choice. And that flexibility is really where KMP shines. You can go with a logic sharing model, right? You share the brain with KMP, but you build a totally native UI for each platform. Maybe Swift UI for iOS and standard Jetpack Compose for Android. Or you can go for the full sharing model, share the brain and the face using Compose Multiplatform. This is a huge deal because it means it's not an all or nothing game. Okay, but how does this even work? I mean, how can one language, Kotlin, run on totally different worlds like Android and iOS? It sounds a bit like magic, but it's not. It all comes down to a really clever compiler. Yeah, this compiler is basically a master translator. When you're targeting Android, it takes your Kotlin code and spits out JVM bytecode. No surprise there, that's what Android apps are made of. But, and this is the cool part, when you target iOS, that very same Kotlin code gets compiled directly into native binaries. We're talking the raw machine code that an iPhone's chip understands. There's no middleman, no translation happening at runtime. And what that means for you is absolutely crucial. There's no virtual machine, no interpreter running on iOS. Your shared Kotlin code becomes a 100% native component on every single platform. And that means you get raw, uncompromised, top-tier native performance, period. Honestly, this is KMP's secret weapon. So many other frameworks, they rely on this thing called a bridge to talk between the shared code and the native platform. It works, but it can add a little bit of overhead. With KMP, there's no bridge. Your shared code can call native APIs, like for notifications or sensors, directly. It's a straight shot, which is why the performance is so good. So, speaking of those other frameworks, the elephant in the room is usually Flutter, right? It's the other big cross-platform tool from Google. So how do these two actually stack up against each other? You can see they really come from different places, different philosophies. KMP is all about native integration. It gives you that choice. Use a native UI or a shared one. That makes it amazing for slowly moving an existing native app over. Flutter, on the other hand, is more of a complete, self-contained universe. It brings its own rendering engine, Skia, to draw every single pixel on the screen. That gives you awesome consistency for sure, but it often means that if you're going to use it on an existing app, you're looking at a full rewrite. It's a big commitment. Okay, that's all the theory. But what's it actually like in the trenches working on a real project with KMP? Let's get into a little reality check, the good and the not so good. And I think this quote I saw from a developer really nails one of the biggest hurdles. Gradle, yeah, the build system. Because it has to juggle all these different platforms, the setup can get complicated. We're talking a serious learning curve, even if you're an experienced Android dev who's used Gradle for years. But okay, if you can get past that Gradle hurdle, the benefits are, well, they're huge. You get that truly native performance we talked about. You can migrate your existing apps bit by bit, no big bang rewrite. The way it works with Swift is beautiful. An iOS dev can just import your shared Kotlin code like it's any other native library. And on top of all that, the whole ecosystem of libraries that work with KMP is getting bigger and better all the time. All right, but on the flip side, let's be real about the challenges. First off, it's still in beta, which means APIs can and probably will change. The library ecosystem, while growing, is definitely smaller than what you'd find for native or Flutter. And here's a big one. You absolutely 100% need a Mac with Xcode to build the iOS side of things. There's just no way around that. So you've got the good, you've got the bad. How in the world do you decide if KMP is the right call for your next project? Well, the classic answer is, it depends, right? It depends on your project, on your team. KMP is an incredibly powerful tool, for sure, but it is not a silver bullet. It's a strategic decision, and you have to weigh those trade-offs we just talked about. But KMP is a fantastic fit in a few specific situations. Like if you've already got native apps and you want to start scaling them without a massive rewrite, it's perfect for that. If your app needs to do deep, complex stuff with native APIs, KMP is a huge win there. If you want to share that core logic but still keep a pixel-perfect native UI, also a great choice. And of course, if your team already knows and loves Kotlin, then you've got a much easier path. It's really about building for the long haul. When you step back and look at it, Kotlin Multiplatform really changes the whole native versus cross-platform debate, doesn't it? It's suggesting a future where you don't actually have to choose one or the other. You can have both. You share the code that makes sense to share, and you keep the stuff that makes each platform special and unique. So is this hybrid world the actual future of how we build apps? It just might be.